Hey guys, welcome to my table 3. Today I'm going to show you how to make one of my coconut cream pies. It is one of the popular recipes on my blog, but I think it's just because people love pie, and what better pie than coconut cream pie, right? With Thanksgiving coming up, I had a request to show a video on this recipe, so let's get to it and start by making that delicious filling. Okay, so we are going to get started with our coconut cream filling. So the first thing we're going to start with is 2 cans, hold on, let me get it where you can see it, 2 cans of coconut milk. Now you want to make sure these have no sugar added. There should just be coconut, let me read the back, coconut, water, and guar gum. You can even buy the light if you like to. And I just got 2 cans. I've used this Thai before. Sorry for the angle of the camera. And I've also used, I'll show you this one, the second can going in. These are 15-ounce cans, guys. Just make sure you get all that coconut goodness, because some of it will be like, there will be like a thick coconut paste kind of stuff on the top, and then the bottom will be mainly water. So it'll come out like in a blob, and then the water will come out. And you just mix it up and it looks creamy. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I have my pan on medium heat, by the way. So I'm going to then pour in the cream. And just remember, guys, for the exact measurements, I got the blog recipe link down below. It's on my blog, mytable3.com. Now that was the cream that I recommend and the vanilla mixed together. And you guys don't have to use cream if you're trying to use a dairy-free option. You can go ahead and use more coconut milk or another creamy milk substance of your choice if you're trying to avoid the dairy and the heavy cream. I just think the heavy cream makes a little bit of a creamier pie. You know, this is, a lot of times I make this pie for the holidays or special occasions. So you want it to be rich and creamy, just like a normal sugary pie would be. You don't want to miss out on the flavor just because you're trying to do sugar-free and low carb. So the next thing I'm going to do is put in the egg yolks. And yes, I'm going to put it all in all at once. This is 4 large egg yolks. And then I am going to whisk. Now these are the egg yolks. The recipe calls for 4 large eggs. You separate them at first and you put the egg whites. I'm making a mess. See that, guys? You know what? Good cooks make a mess in the kitchen, right? Yeah, that's the truth. At least for me, anyway. Anyway, you separate the 4 yolks from the egg whites, and you want these to be room temperature. Man, I'm making a mess. Going a little bit too fast, not paying attention. But anyway, you separate them. You let the egg whites in a bowl. If it's going to be a while before you make your meringue, you can put those back in the refrigerator, covered with saran wrap, or in a bowl with the lid. So far in here, we have 2 cans of coconut milk with no sugar. Make sure it's unsweetened. You can use light if you'd like. Then we have the cream and the 4 egg yolks and the vanilla. And I believe I also put a pinch of salt in the cream as well. Salt makes everything taste better. It takes out the, oh, I'm missing the main ingredient. Thank goodness I remembered that. And that's going to be the sweetener. I'm going to get my measuring cup. And I am going to use, Nate, will you let Lexi in? Sorry guys, Lexi never cries or whines or anything until, of course, I get on the video camera. Thank you. Are they one out? Anyway, sorry about the dogs, guys. Alright, so I am going to use for my sweetener, this time I am going to use, and you can't see because it won't focus, but I'm going to use the Trim Healthy Mama Super Sweet, and that is the Stevia and Erythritol blend. In the original recipe, it calls for Pure, because that's what I had at the time. I'm really familiar with working for Pure, so if you can't get a special ingredient like this Trim Healthy Mama Super Sweet, just follow the directions for that Pure. You can get that at Walmart, I believe at Kroger's. I'm not sure about Kroger, but I know you can get that at Walmart on the bacon aisle. And yeah, so it's about $6.96 for a pound of it, which is a pretty good price for a low carb sweetener. So yeah, I use it a lot, and if you haven't tried it, make sure you do. And it's also a stevia and erythritol blend. Don't get the baking mix because the baking blend because that has sugar. But the pure, just the stevia erythritol in the white bag, it does not. So just make sure you don't say baking blend. Alright, so enough of that rabbit trail. Now what you're going to do is bring this mixture to a low boil, not a rapid boil. You don't want to scorch the cream or the eggs that are in here. Now putting the eggs in to the custard mixture at the beginning will allow them to come up really slowly. Basically a quick way to temper them. So don't boil it really fast or you're going to, you may scramble the eggs. But this is the only way I found that it's less time consuming and my eggs don't scramble. So this is our cream mixture. We're going to go ahead and let it come to a low boil. You want to, a very low boil, guys. Let it, mix it constantly. And the next thing we're going to use, now traditionally in classic pies, at least the ones my family, my mom taught me to make growing up, we use cornstarch to thicken. I mean a lot of cornstarch. Like to this much pie filling we would use like 6 heaping tablespoons to thicken it up. But for a low carb trim healthy mama pie, of course, we're not going to use the cornstarch. We are going to use a low carb sweetener. A low carb bacon thickener like xanthan gum, which you can find at Walmart now on the baking aisle. And we're also going to use gelatin because gelatin will help this mixture also set up like a pie filling that will be able to slice. So I'm going to get this a little bit warmer, a little bit more coming to a boil, and then I'm going to sprinkle in my gelatin, which I just use the Knox brand or even the Walmart brand. I believe this time, so this time I have great value. It's unflavored gelatin, the Knox unflavored gelatin. It just comes in little brown packets like that. Now if you have a great beef gelatin that doesn't have a flavor, or you don't mind the one that you have that has a flavor, then by all means use that. Not sure of the equivalent because I know that the beef gelatin that you buy in the cans in Great Lakes can be stronger, so check out that equivalent. I believe Trim Healthy Mama blogger Briana Thomas has a blog post on comparing the gelatins, like the Knox compared to beef gelatin that you can buy from Great Lakes. So go to her website, brianathomas.com, and just search for gelatin, and you should be able to pull that post up there. I'll try and link it below as well. But I have worked with this because it's what I have on hand. I don't normally buy the beef gelatin. But, if you have it, excellent, because it's really good for you. So once it starts getting warm and close to that low, very low boil, or simmer, a hard simmer, we are going to sprinkle in the gelatin while we mix. This is the longest process of the pie, guys. It's cooking the custard. So, and you're just going to get it warm, and like I said, you'll start seeing like slow boils, and we're going to sprinkle in the gelatin, 1 pack, which is approximately about 2 teaspoons of this Knox or Great Value gelatin. First we're going to sprinkle in the gelatin, and then we'll sprinkle in the xanthan gum. And again, don't leave this unattended. If you have little guys running through the house, or if maybe you're in the middle of homeschool lessons, or talking on the phone, this may not be a good time to do the pie, because this is something that does not need to be left unattended, because it will scorch, and let me tell you, it does not taste good. And you don't want scrambled eggs. That's not very holiday pie-like, is it? Nobody wants scrambled coconut eggs for dessert. So just kind of stay with it. Do it if you have little guys. Do it while they are napping, or maybe at night when they're in the bed, because this does take a few hours to set up in the fridge. Do it at night before you go to bed. After they went to bed, let it set all the night before, all night in the fridge, and then the next morning you can finish your pie, or maybe the next day during their nap. If you have older kids, maybe they like to get in the kitchen and help you, because the crust is definitely something they could get involved in. If you have older kids, they may even be able to work on the stove. That'd be fun holiday baking. So this is just about there. And I'm sorry, this is making the video a little bit long, but I just wanted to show you guys the whole process. So I'm going to wait just a second, and then I'm going to go in and add the gelatin. Alright, and so after we mix in the gelatin and the xanthan gum, the only thing that will be remaining is our coconut. For the coconut, I use Bob's Red Mill unsweetened coconut flakes because that's what I have on hand. The recipe will say unsweetened coconut shredded, which sometimes you can find in Kroger or Walmart. You can't always find those sweetened. Sometimes around the holiday they have it. But if you can't, just get that big bag of unsweetened flaked coconut. Now I like to chop mine up if you buy the Bob's Red Milk because it comes in really big flakes, and so I just chop mine up. Alright guys, so this is coming to a boil. You'll see little boils every once in a while. I'll let you see it. Anyway, the coconut, I just chop it up so it's fine, kind of like shredded, if you can't find the shredded. If you can find the shredded, then that's fantastic. Just make sure it's unsweetened so that it's low carb and not full of sugar. You don't want to add sugary coconut to your low carb pie. That would kind of contradict everything you're doing. Okay, so this is coming to a boil. Again, you want to not let it boil real hard. But you can see the little bubbles coming. I think you guys can see it. Yeah, you can see it. So I'm going to take the gelatin and I'm going to sprinkle it over the top while mixing. And like I said, this is about 2 teaspoons in this packet of Great Value unflavored gelatin. You can use Knox. That's the one I use when I make this pie most of the time. And you can see it instantly starts sticking up. But you want to turn the heat down now to a lower heat. You don't want it to be boiling rapidly. And so you just whisk. Now this pie filling, if you use the cornstarch, it would start setting up, and I mean getting really thick, to like you would have to cook it till it started getting thick, remove it from the heat, and then it would be like thick. Like you could cut it in a pie almost immediately. As for this lower carb volume version, that's not going to be the case. You are going to have to keep it in the fridge and let it set up. Okay, so the next thing we need is some xanthan gum. I'm going to take this off the heat, you guys, a little bit. Alright, so we're still going to mix, and now we're going to sprinkle in 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum. You guys, if you haven't worked with xanthan gum, it will clump up like jelly, so in your mixture. Alright guys, so my camera stopped. Hopefully it didn't miss out on too much. We added our coconut, which was 1 cup. Now it's been cooking for about 3 minutes, or actually about 4 minutes on low to medium, just enough to let it cook a little bit. And then we're going to transfer this to a glass bowl to let it cool, and then we'll put it in the fridge. You can see it's still kind of liquidy, but I promise you it's going to set up. It's definitely going to set up in the refrigerator like a pie filling consistency. So let this go, like I said, after you add the coconut. Hopefully we didn't miss really much in the video because I don't know where it went off because I was distracted trying to keep this from scorching. But after this added the coconut, you cook it for another 5 minutes, and then we are going to let it cool, put it in a bowl, put it in the refrigerator for a few hours, and I'll tell you how long I waited when I come back. And then I'll show you how to make the crust and assemble the rest of the pie. Alright guys, see you in a few hours. Oh, one more thing guys, I wanted to jump back in. This is the glass bowl that I had the pie filling in. I forgot to tell you, for a little bit of extra coconut flavor, you can add in about 1/4 teaspoon of coconut extract if you'd like to. It is optional, you don't have to, but I do find it gives it a little bit more coconut flavor. So if you'd like to add in that, I would add it in now. Don't cook it. Stir it really good and then let this cool. And then after it cools off, I'm going to put this lid on it and put it in the refrigerator for a few hours. Now I do come back and stir mine every few, probably about every hour or two. Well, I'm sorry, not every hour or two, about every hour, every so often. I'll go in the fridge and stir it if I'm home, just to kind of stir it around and see how it's thickening up. If you're not home, don't worry about it. Just stir it really good and then let it set, cool, and then put it in the refrigerator. And now I'm going to put it in there, and I'll be back in just a few hours. Okay guys, the pie crust is done and it is brown and gold. Cooked for about 15 minutes. Just watch yours. If you're using all almond meal or almond flour instead of the baking blend, it will get darker even faster. So just take a look at it. Just watch it. You want it to be, you know, it may still be a little bit soft when you take it out, but it will get crunchy as it sits. Now, as this finished cooling, I'm going to show you over at the blender mixer how I get the meringue done. So these are the 4 egg whites that I separated from my yolks this morning. Now remember, one tip about baking is a lot of times the things work better when they're at room temperature. So I had stored these in the refrigerator earlier today because I didn't want to leave them out all day on the counter. But before I got ready to put them in here, I set them out and let them come to room temperature. I added just a little bit of this cream of tartar and a little bit of sweetener, and now I'm just going to mix it until it has stiff peaks. And I won't bore you guys. Sorry, I was going to say, I won't bore you guys with this, but I'll come back and show you about halfway through when it starts getting a little puffy. I will add just a little bit more sweetener and then finish it up. And then when I come back, I'm going to show you how I finish this pie off. The meringue is ready. This is the kind of peaks you want it to have. It will stand up. Let me see. See how it's stiff? Not too stiff, but it holds its own. That's what you want it to be to top your pie. You can always, if you like yours a little bit sweeter, taste it. I did put a splash of vanilla in. Just follow the recipe that is attached. If you don't like the vanilla, you can leave it out. Or if you want less sweetener, more sweetener. But yeah, so there it is. I'm going to show you how to assemble this delicious pie. Crust, meringue, and filling. Alright guys, so earlier my sound was messed up on the camera. I forgot to turn the mic on, so I thought I'd just show you how I added the coconut cream pie filling to the cooled crust here. I'm just making sure that I'm getting it all in there. You want, you know, a good amount of filling in that pie. You don't want a thin pie. This is, after all, a holiday coconut cream pie, so let's be generous, get it all in. Here I'm just going to spread it out from side to side all over the crust. You want to get it all the way to the edges, and then distribute it, you know, evenly throughout the pie shell so everybody gets the equal amount in all of the slices. Just going to finish up here, and then after you have all the filling in there, the next thing you're going to do is put on the meringue. If you don't want to do meringue here, you could add like a Cool Whip topping or a favorite homemade whipped cream. It would be awesome too. The meringue is a classic, so here I'm just going to put the meringues that I beat up there in my mixer in that meringue. If you don't remember, I did add a little bit of sweetener. I did add a dash of vanilla and some cream of tartar, and then I beat until they were stiff peaks. And now I'm just going to make sure I spread it out evenly. You know, the meringue is going to be really big, but it does shrink up some when you bake it. Now, you don't want to over bake it because it will become tough, and sometimes, you know, a chewy meringue is not what you want. You want it to be nice and kind of crisp on the outside, but a soft, smooth texture in the inside. So I'm just here, you see me just spreading it all over the pie evenly. You're going to try and get it all the way around the pie to the edges, covering all the filling. And the great thing about meringue is that when it browns up, it will have these nice peaks that you see me making here. You want it to look homemade, so just use your spatula or a spoon just to make some stand up higher than others, because those are going to be nice and golden brown in the oven and make your pie look amazing when it comes out. So after that, I'm just going to put this pie. Actually, first I do sprinkle just a little bit. I'm showing you here how I make those little peaks. Again, I'm sorry about the audio, so I thought I'd just do this voiceover so the video was not wasted. Just making sure to get it all to the end. Then I'm going to top with a little bit of additional coconut. This is totally an optional thing here. I just like people to know what kind of pie it is before they cut into it. So a little bit of sprinkle of coconut on top helps that stand out. So maybe if somebody doesn't like coconut, they won't bother cutting that pie. But if somebody's a fan of coconut, they'll say, oh, coconut pie. So now I'm going to put this back in the oven. I think I'm looking for my hand towel. And this is to clean up the edges of the pan so it doesn't get dirty when it bakes. It'll be nice and clean edges. And once you get all that cleaned up, you're going to put that in a preheated 350-degree oven for about 15 minutes or until it is nice and golden brown. It won't take long for the egg whites to cook.